a Halloween mask stuck on a girl's face, creepy talking puppets, and a doll coming to life. These are the 10 scariest things found in popular kids shows. Number 10, The Puppet, Sneako. Sneako is a show that makes you wonder how people saw children back in the day. The main character in the show is a puppet called Ratafak Placha, which means big nose blanket. It had very long arms and looks like it was made from anything found in a trash can. Its large head also looks like something out of a bad dream with its beady eyes, so not a good start. The puppet is also tall and not so good of a way, and he has a voice so creepy you'd think it's a serial killer. Its cries and laughter are also bad, so both ugly and freaky. What could go wrong? The show is from Czechoslovakia and was played in the 1980s. We're just glad we never got to see it. Number 9, Everything, Jan Svankmeyer's Alice. This show makes us want to ask if kids in Czechoslovakia are alright. Remember Alice in Wonderland? That beautiful movies about a little girl falling down the rabbit hole? Well, we don't know where Jan Svankmeyer got his own story from because it was something out of a bad dream. This show came out in 1988, and we can't be sure it was meant for kids. For starters, the narrator has a creepy voice, which makes the film sound like a horror movie. It started by saying, Alice thought to herself, now you'll see a film made for children, perhaps. Excuse us while we run to our mommies. That's not even the scariest part. The film is made with a real child and stop-motion animation, which just makes it all the more creepy. And instead of cute rabbits and little queens and jesters, we get stuffed animals, dead birds that have fox skulls, and a piece of meat that can move. To cap it all, Alice turns into a creepy doll in the end. This film is a horror show. Number 8, Lily D, The Haunting Hour. R.L. Stine is one of the most brilliant writers of horror books and shows. Many of his books have been made into movies, but as much as we love to see them, some of them are just too creepy. The Haunting Hour, this series, is one of such shows. It's made up of several short films that came on TV from 2010 to 2014. We aren't surprised that one of R.L. Stine's shows made it onto this list. He's more than earned for it for his creepy writings. Every episode of the show gave us a new scary story like in Goosebumps. But the scariest part for us was when a girl named Lily was given a doll that looked like her in both shape and size. The Lily was called Lily D. And what do you know, it came to life and replaced the real Lily in the family. Terrifying. If you think that the things we've mentioned so far are scary, well, it doesn't get any better. Now we're gonna take a look at some more scary stuff. So hug your blanket and turn on the lights. We'll be looking at a face mask that turned a girl into a monster, a train ride that leads to scary stuff, and the weirdest, grossest food you'll ever see. Number 7, Halloween Mask, Goosebumps. Here is another of R.L. Stine's shows, and this time it's the biggest of them all, Goosebumps. The show started in 1995 and ran for 3 years until 1998. That was a lot of time to scare too many kids around the world. Anyway, most of the show's episodes were made by R.L. Stine stories, which talked about kids getting into weird and scary problems. There were many parts of the show that kept us up all night, but one that really made us sleep with our parents for a few weeks was the Halloween Mask episode. A girl finds a creepy mask and steals it to look scary on Halloween, but it gets stuck to her face and starts turning her into a scary monster. Needless to say, we never wore a mask ever again. Number 6, Haunted Trail, Hey Arnold. In the cartoon series Hey Arnold that was shown on Nickelodeon between 1996 and 2004, we got a lot of fun episodes. Some parts were emotional and left us blowing into a tissue, but other parts were just weird and scary. We just didn't know what to expect with this show. For us, the scariest thing in this was the haunted train. That's a ride you don't want to take for any reason. We follow the characters who get on a subway car and don't get off until the end of the trip. They heard that the train was haunted and wanted to see for themselves. Some people just like trouble like that. Anyway, when strange things started happening on the train, the characters see it as normal, but they weren't quite normal to us. This made us think, were the characters the things that haunted the train? Number 5, Date Food, The Kitchen Casanova. Cartoon Network gave us the great What a Cartoon line of shows like The Kitchen Casanova. This shows us many things from scary to disgusting to, why is this on TV for kids? We have a lot of questions, but that's for another day. Our focus in this show is the creepy meal a man makes for his date. Before she shows up, he's worried about what to make for dinner. And instead of just bringing you the closest fast food, he decides to make something from anything. He moves from one bad recipe to another, and by the end of the day, what we saw made us wash our eyes out with soap. His date comes over and he opens the tray to show her the food, but it's not pot pie or stew or even a salad. The plate is filled with a meal made from a human foot, bloody bones, eyeballs with eyelids, and a tongue that had rolled up. As she looks at the food, the tongue unfurls and starts to twitch on the plate. We thought the date was about to nope out of there, but no, instead she grabs a spoon and they dig in. Yeah, I think I might take a little break and go vomit everywhere. As they eat, they giggle to each other and smack their lips and chew loudly. Knowing everything on that plate, we can't help but shudder. Couldn't the show's creators come up with something better? Number 4, the Grim Reaper. Death isn't a subject that we talk about lightly. It means a lot to us, especially as we all have lost loved ones at one point in our lives. In the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy, one of the popular characters is a skull figure wearing a black robe with a hood. It also carries a scythe. While our childish minds may not have understood what the character was, we now know that it was the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper is the messenger of death, who comes to take the souls of the dead. So seeing Billy and Mandy hang around with it so much makes us wonder if the children are already dead. That's a chilling discovery. It gets worse because the kids also have to deal with school problems and family issues, which are too much for children to bear. Sometimes, Billy and Mandy go into the spirit world and experience paranormal events, which is all a little strange for kids. This kids show just flew over our heads. Starting out, things get serious. It's now time to look at pimples that are happy to make you suffer, a king of Egypt causing plague for an old couple, and the characters from the show Emmett Freedy. Number 3, Singing Pimples, A Kid's Life. Oh Yeah Cartoons was just like the What a Cartoon show on Cartoon Network, only in this version the cartoons are even creepier. In the cartoon A Kid's Life, we see some pimples dancing along to a song about how they make kids' lives sad and no one would stop them. That doesn't sound so good now, does it? The show continues with more sad and creepy stories that give us a rabbit toy the size of a human child that looks creepy in every way. We also get Kenny and the Chimp, which came out just before an even creepier show. In The Kids Next Door, we find a child who falls sick to a bunch of diseases. The show ends with the child turning into a pig and running away when he heard someone making bacon. We have got a lot of questions. Number 2, King Ramses, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Remember Courage the Cowardly Dog? Well, the dog was anything but courageous many times, but it was a great show and we enjoyed it. The show ran from 1996 to 2002. It tells the story of a little purple dog called Courage that stays with his owners, Muriel and Eustace. The couple live in the middle of nowhere with no neighbors. How do they even go grocery shopping? As you can tell from the name, Courage isn't a very brave dog, which is sad because a lot of bad things happen in his house. Talk about ghosts, giant spiders, killers, and every other thing that'd freak you out. The dog doesn't get a break. Worse still, when he reports to his owners, they don't believe him. Now he has to fight off the bad guys on his own. Sometimes we just felt sad for the poor dog. But as scary as the whole show was, nothing made us prepared for the arrival of King Ramses with a stolen artifact. We see Ramses standing in the desert and demanding Eustace to return a caused slab, while Courage's house is visited by all the worst things the show writers could think of. Now on to the moment you've all been waiting for. Number 1, the characters, Emmett Freedy. Nicktoon gave us the Emmett Freedy cartoon in the 1990s, which was not like the other cartoons we know. This one had a different style and used stop motion, which is all it needs to scare us away from the TV. But the creepiest part of the show were the characters. Yeah, they were all you see, but they were not good to be seen. Their voices sound like you were in a dream and their bodies were not right at all. No one should have a head that big or mouth that wide. Let's not even get started on the teeth. What in the dinosaur mouth is that? This is why we need therapy, folks. Tell us in the comments which of these shows you saw. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon.